Hi everybody! I can't believe it's week 5 already. So this is your overview for Humanities 103 Mythology. Here's your list of work for this week. The first thing I'd like you to read is the instructions for the Creation Myth Project. This is the culmination of this Unit 3 Cosmic Myths. Now this isn't due for several weeks, but please read it over so that you know what you'll be doing and that so you can start thinking about how you're going to be putting that project together. I have an article, Types of Creation Myths, which is one that you will use for your Creation Myth project. And then there are 4 different videos that cover creation myths from different times, different areas of the world, and some of the functions of creation myths. Also, don't forget that your Pantheon project is due at the end of this week. So what are cosmic myths? We usually think of the word cosmic or cosmos as meaning the universe, space, stars, planets, those sorts of things. But its Greek root refers to not just the universe that we can see, but the universe as a place of order as opposed to chaos. Because ancient peoples could look at the stars, the moon, the planets. They could see them, rising and setting, their orbits at different times of the year, and they realized that there was a consistency, a predictability about the universe. And so they came up with what to them were very logical explanations. And those had to do primarily with deities that would be, engineering all of this order. But cosmic myths aren't just about the creation of things. They also describe why or how things are destroyed. So we can look around and we see things being born and blooming and coming into being, but we're also crucially aware that life is temporary and that things die. Things die with each season, with each lifespan. And so, of course, people want to know what causes people to die, what happens after we are no longer walking and talking and living on this plane of existence. And so those were the sorts of things that people addressed in these cosmic myths. We're starting with creation myths, which obviously talk about how things came into being. And, just like with the last unit with pantheons, we looked at what types of deities a culture created and the relationships, among those deities, and we gleaned some clues or evidence about what that culture valued, what their priorities were. And we're going to do the very same thing with creation myths. So this is the introduction to the reading in your module. By interpreting and analyzing creation myths, we provide ourselves with a window into the driving forces of that culture's members, as well as a viewpoint on how individuals and society may have viewed their connection to their gods. In these creation myths, the elements of how, when, and why men and women are created serve as the basis for revealing the specific relationship a culture holds with its gods. They also provide insights into other relationships. So not just people in relationship to their deities, but also their environment, because so many myths explain not just how humans came into being, but how the environment that they were looking at and living in came into being. So the plants, the trees, the weather, the animals, and so on. We're going to use the 9 types of creation myths that are described by a scholar named Marta Weigel. She looked at thousands of different creation myths from cultures all around the world and then categorized them into 9 general types. And many creation myths actually encompass more than one type. So these are not exclusive types by any means. And you will need to know these in order to do your final culminating project for this unit. Here's just a screenshot of the first type that's in the table that's included in your readings. So a type would be accretion or conjunction. And I'm not going to read it for you. You can read through all of these. But each type has a very specific, let's say, group of elements or actions that characterize it. Okay, your creation myth project, like I said, that's due in about 6 weeks on March 27th. And what you'll be doing, it has 2 parts. The first part is an original creation myth written by you. It cannot be based on any creation myth that we watched, listened to, studied, read. Nothing you've heard or read in the past. Has to be completely a product of your imagination. Now, I have to tell you, your creation myth may seem a little bit similar to ones that we've studied because you're going to base it on one or more of those Weigel creation myth types. So the type may be similar, but the details are going to be completely original to you. This is why you have to start thinking about this a little bit early so that your imagination has time to really kind of incubate these ideas. Jot them down, go over them, revise them. This myth also has to be well written. So that means writing a rough draft. It means putting it away, coming back to it, doing some more revision, showing it to people, asking for feedback. We're not going to do formal peer review for this like you might do in, say English 101. But I'm going to leave that up to you to get the feedback you need. And then you'll be putting together a final draft, which is grammatically correct, which is, I would say, beautifully written. It's written like a really nice creation myth that you would find in the book. Okay? The second part of it is the analysis. So now you're going to take your creation myth and put it under the microscope, just like we're doing with some of the other ones that we read. You're going to identify which Weigel types you used and explain how those types or those elements suggested the creation that you described. That will make more sense a little bit farther into the unit. When we've read more, we've watched more stories, we've looked at a few more scholarly articles, you will find that your analysis is not difficult to write.